Oops, all video game music. I'm Cody. That's Gauntlet 2. You can tell it's 2 and not 1 because it's slightly slower. It's the same song. Exact same song, but it's about 1 second longer. Because it's from part 2, you see, so it's a different song altogether, you know? Eh? I know because I played both of them at the exact same time and compared. Anyway, welcome. And let's hear your Dave Wise of the week right off the bat. It's not composed by him, but it's him covering it. It's level 1 of Marble Madness for Nintendo. Well, that was Aero Fighters for Super Nintendo. That was Moscow. Before that, God of Thunder, a PC game. And it's labeled as Song 2-2. Don't mess with my tutu. I know you got another God of Thunder, but don't mess with my tutu. Let's hear an arcade game next. Bertha's a big fan. And it happens to be called Mountain, this level or song, or both. It's a game that Bertha's going to tell you about right now. That's right, Dirt Dash. Well, we heard some music from Super Nintendo. As you could probably tell, it was from Smurfs 2. And I think the vocals were provided by Rihanna. Oh wait, no, that was the movie, not the game. Anyway, somehow in my notes, when I was preparing, I had it saved that game was composed by Yuzo Koshiro. And I don't know why. I double-checked that when I saw that note. And I'm guessing it was some bad information I got from AI, because I was listening to it. I'm like, no, this doesn't sound like he did that. And no, he didn't. But anyway, that was a song from that game that I never played. It has very fitting music for Smurfs, I gotta say. And then Just Herb Mustard, Blaster Master, Area 7. That's also a very fitting song for that level on that game. I'd love to hear or actually watch a band play that song live. It's probably been done, but has it been done well? Did they give the other fella hell? We'll have to ask Paul. Well, coming up next, we got something that's gonna blow your ass across the room. I hope you're ready. Oh, something just came across my desk. Okay, I've been informed that is not going to happen. But, well, let's listen to it anyway. Here's some more Marble Madness for you this time. From Game Boy Advance. With no D on the end of that. I hate it when people say Game Boy Advanced. Although I don't hear a lot of people say it because it's a very old device at this point. And it's also labeled as being Marble Madness / Clax. But I don't know about that. Anyway, here it is. Well, that game and Bionic Commando for Nintendo have some great music, in my opinion. Although very 8-bit sounding and very a little bit rough around the edges, but I love the compositions. Also very short, that song, but man, it gets stuck in my head sometimes. That was Street Fighter 2010. The official, the real sequel to Street Fighter, not that Street Fighter 2 bullshit. The name of that is Entorrid. I don't know what that means. But before that, I bet you can't guess what that was. It was from Konami. And it was Ninja Turtles Arcade. It's, what was the name of that track? Let me see if I can, nah, I don't have the name of that track. It's like level 3 or 4 or some shit. That was a great game. Now here's a song from a not great game, but it was okay. It was the first Super Nintendo game I think I ever rented. Maybe. Definitely one of the first, because I rented the actual Super Nintendo also, which I think was about $20. It was either $10 or $20 at the time from the local video rental mom and pop store. So I'd saved up some lunch money and rented the system and this game. So by God, I was going to play it. I didn't get very far in it. So it must not have been that great of a game. And there's not a lot of songs in the game either. You know why? Because it's, if I recall correctly, it's Acclaim. And generally speaking, they fucking sucked in the early 90s. It's Bart's Nightmare. And this song is Bartman to the Rescue.
I played Wilford Brimley on the Ben Stiller show in a lot of makeup, and it was a parody of the oatmeal commercials that he used to do.
Right.
But in the sketch, excuse me, in the sketch, it was insane, and he had it started like Taxi Driver, where he's standing in a mirror with a gun going, "Are you talking to me?" And then he would go into the Grady's Oats commercial.
Right.
But Wilford Brimley's a hard ass.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I've heard that. Yeah.
He was in this thing called the Utah Brigade,
Uh-huh.
where, and it's also Wilford Brimley is one of those guys that was born looking old.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He was 23 when he made Cocoon.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot when they show those memes of how old people were. And
Yeah.
Wilford Brimley and the Tom Cruise one always get compared because they were in the movie together. And
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is older than
Older
Wilford
than-
Brimley.
yeah,
Way
oh,
older,
the,
yeah.
the traveling Wilburys were all in their 30s. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell?
Yeah.
They seem so old.
That's wild.
So the Utah Brigade is this thing. If you're in Utah and you have the death penalty and you choose to get killed by the firing squad,
Wilford Brimley will do it?
Will gets the call.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's just a little something. So I was a little afraid to meet Will for fear he knew that I made fun of him on the
Right,
Ben Stiller show.
right.
Apparently he didn't. He just
He-
went, Will Brimley.
an arcade game by Jalico, I believe, the Japan Leisure Corporation. It was called P-47 Aces. It's a sequel to P-47 The Phantom Fighter, I think it's called. It's one of them games where you're flying a plane, you're shooting stuff. The P-47's it's a pretty big plane, eh? Anyway, before that we had King of the Monsters for Sega Genesis. We hadn't heard that version of that game on the show before, so I thought it was a good time to hear it, and I like that song a lot. It's basically the level 1 song. I like it on the arcade. I like it on Super Nintendo. And I like that version. But I gotta say I prefer the Super Nintendo one over the other two. I'm sure there are other versions, they probably suck, or else I would have played them already. But, little, peek behind the curtain here on Oops, All Video Game Music. I don't do this very often. And I kind of have a bubble in my throat, can you tell? So, not always, but I do make an attempt to have the clips that I play be somewhat related to the songs that I play around the clips. I'm not sure how often that actually happens successfully, but sometimes it happens completely by accident, sort of. And tonight's one of those, or it could just be a subliminal thing on my part where I did it without thinking about it. As far as the planning stage, and more of a peek behind the curtain, I get all these songs and clips ready, but I intentionally don't have it planned out exactly the pattern that I'm going to play them in, because I want there to be an organic feeling to this show. I think I succeed in that quite a bit, especially when I fall asleep in the middle of it. But anyway, we don't keep those episodes up, or usually not. Anyway, tonight we played Bart's Nightmare for Super Nintendo. And sort of by accident, played a clip of Dana Gould after that. And I immediately thought, when I started playing that clip, one of the most renowned writers from The Simpsons, in the history of The Simpsons, Mr. Dana Gould. He's up there with Conan for sure. And then my decision for the song after that was influenced by Mr. Gould, which was King of the Monsters, and it's probably his favorite genre of movie is old horror movies, and some new, I don't know. If you ever watch, they did a series of 30-minute episodes of Creepshow. It was available on Shudder streaming service. But it was, if you've ever seen the Creepshow movies 1 and 2 from the early 80s, they were based on that. The same vibe. A lot of them just very cheesy, horror, kind of like Tales from the Dark Side or Tales from the Crypt or any of that stuff. But Dana Gould wrote one, or at least some of those, or he definitely appeared in one of them. Anyway, check that out if you're into that kind of shit. So that worked out, I thought it was going to be just non sequitur playing that clip tonight, but nah. Let's keep going with some more music. What should we hear next? I got some Sega Genesis music, but I'm going to save that because we just must heard that. Well, we're one song removed anyway. And let's hear some Super Nintendo music. This is a remix I did to make the song a little bit less monotonous. But this is a Tecmo joint. And we haven't heard anything from this particular version of this game in quite a while on this show. We've never heard this specific song before. It's from Ninja Gaiden 2. But it's from the trilogy for Super Nintendo, and it's my remix. And it's from level 2 or 3. I should say Act 2-1, I think it's from. Or maybe it's 3-1. I've played the shit out of that game, so I should know, but anyway, here it is.
Some real fruity shit now, man.
You finished?
That's it, man. Game over, man.
heard some music from R-Type, the OG, the arcade, developed by Irem and published by Nintendo. It was an arcade game that I never had the fortune of playing at an arcade because I never saw it growing up in Oklahoma. Didn't have a lot of diversity in the arcades back in the day in Oklahoma. Or maybe my parents just didn't take us to enough places. But I don't think that's the case. I always liked getting out of the house. Anywhere my parents or my dad was going, I always went with them, especially like during the summer when there was no school, because there was always a chance any given place that we stopped at that was a store or anything like that might have arcade games, and I might be able to convince him to give me a quarter, or I might already have a quarter that fell out of my dad's pocket at home that I collected. But I never played R-Type in an arcade. That's probably a good thing, though, because when I've played it since then at home, not spending a quarter, I would have died immediately, because I die immediately when I play it at home, you know? Every R-Type game is extremely difficult. That's just the brand of R-Type, I think. But anyway, that was Game Over Man, followed by, I think it was level 7. It's one of the level songs, technically. But I edited those together because if you play Super R-Type, which in my opinion, is the penultimate R-Type game, it's for Super Nintendo. We've heard a lot of music from it on this show. When you get Game Over on that, it plays those two songs in succession. The Continue song, it sort of counts, it's counting down from 10. You know, you got your 10 seconds to put the credit in. Sometimes it's not accurate to actual seconds, but you know. It builds up, and on the Super Nintendo one, if you sit there long enough, there's a lot more to the song, but we haven't played that on the show, and we won't until we get to a very special episode. I'm saving that one. And after that, we had Sonic the Hedgehog. Angry Music Man in the chat could tell it was Sonic, but did not have the game or the track. But it was Sonic 3D Blast Green Grove Zone Act 2. It's a very lengthy song, but I liked it, so we listened to it tonight. I was like a good green zone from Sonic, you know. I like a Sonic Blast, too. Sometimes, well, usually with Reese's chunks in it, you know? You ever go to the Sonic? They originated in Oklahoma City, folks. My friend who lived up the street when Sonic the Hedgehog, the original one, came out, and he had a Super Nintendo. I always wanted to play it. And I'd go to his house and I'd say, let's eat at the Sonic. But I also felt bad because, you know, we were supposed to be hanging out, you know, and I just wanted to play his Sega Genesis. But I think that was a common thing back in the day, probably. And most recently, we heard music from Turrican by Mr. Chris Hulsbeck. Angry Music Man guessed that correctly. That was a song from Turrican 2, I believe. I think it's the when you're typing in your initials. Or entering your initials. I don't... you were probably typing if it was on an Amiga, right? Yeah. Amigas had keyboards. Female friends, you know? But that was the CD Turrican soundtrack that I purchased online roughly 25 years ago on the internet from, I think it was videogamemusic.com. I bought a handful of CDs from that website. They were always imported from Japan. I needed to hear music from that man by buying a CD from Japan. And he was German. And I was American. Alright, anyway. It's also kind of weird that he, at least the last time I checked, he lives in the United States. Might have been easier for me to just go buy the CD from him directly, you know, but nah, we use the internet and shipping, you know. I played that CD quite a bit in my vehicle that had a CD player. Let's hear some more music on Oops. All video game music. Do you hear my chair squeaking? Well, let's finish off our trilogy of Marble Madness music tonight to go along with the thumbnail you're looking at, or whatever you want to call it. This is from Marble Madness 2, which I think was unreleased, but that didn't keep Brad Fuller and possibly Hal Cannon and some other guy from making music for it, and they did a great job in my opinion. And here's Astral Race from Marble Madness 2.
Welcome to Juice Mania, the show that takes a look at the wonderful world of juice. This week, the Juice Weasel. And now here's your host, Gordy Lightstone.
Are you as excited as I'm being paid to be? We're too. Oh, that's all right, and it's also incredible. Hey, let's bring out today's host, the incredible, most amazing guest we've ever had, Juicy J. Cornish. Juicy J, that was an incredible feat of strength.
Thank you, Gordy. I took my whole family on long trips like this.
Well, wow, man. Where's your family now, Jay?
They're all dead. I outlived them all.
That's the beauty of the Juice Weasel. Wow, that's incredible.
Yo, come on up here. Come on up. You seem like a healthy young man. How old are you?
I'm 21.
21, huh?
Yes.
He's 21, but I'm still standing. I found the secret of eternal life. I looked into God's eyes, and you know what I saw? The Juice Weasel.
Hey, folks, can you tell me what time it is? Time to juice!
That's how much organic matter you need every day. Now, you could eat it in that form, but sooner or later, you're going to get tired of wiping your butt. Another problem is fruit. How do you get at it? Look, what do I do with it? You you need to be a NASA scientist to get inside that thing. Have you ever tried to drink a raw carrot, Gordy? It can't be done.
Wow, I get it. Now that's where the juice weasel comes in.
Yes. The juice weasel separates the fiber from the juice, saving only the most essential elements. That's the beauty of my design, Gordy. I want you to try something.
Sure,
A
Jay.
little concoction I made before the show.
Okay. Ooh, ooh, that tastes like somebody's dirty undershorts.
Not just somebody's, Gordy. They're mine. But see, the undershorts are gone. All that's left is the life-giving juice.
That's incredible.
See, people like to eat the bad stuff and throw away the good stuff. Look at the celery, Gordy. Look at it! Where does it come from?
The dirt, Jay?
No, the soil. You see, the soil is the most important thing on Earth. That is Mother Earth, giving us our gifts. All life emanates from the soil. It emanates, Gordy. See, so what I do is knock out the middleman. You got all the minerals you need right here. That's gonna be beautiful, Gordy.
Sure is, right, guys?
Hell with them. You know, another question people ask me, Gordy, is, Jay, what am I going to do about my finances? Groceries are too expensive. Get that, Gordy, you son of a... You know, I could just go off on them. I'd love to juice them sometime, you know? Just put their hand in
We
there.
can't do that.
You know?
Thank you, Konami composer there. That was from a game called Space Manbow. 34 guys like man bows. Nothing wrong with a man bow, you know what I'm talking about? Well, we had music from Blaster Master, Blasting Again for PlayStation. That was track 27, I'll call it. And then we had the aforementioned Space Manbow memoir ending. And I'm sorry to report we played that because, well, we're about to end the show. I'm sorry, folks. If I didn't mention it earlier, I probably should mention the game by Psygnosis. Awesome. For Amiga. Awesome, if you didn't hear the first part of that, where I said ah. It's called Awesome. And I have to assume that the game is awesome. I haven't played it. Because I don't have an Amiga yet. All I've got's this crummy old Commodore 128, you know? Collecting dust in the praying basement. Well, thanks for tuning in tonight. It's been a fun one. It's been a fun run. And as Pat Buttram once said, run for fun? What the hell kind of fun is that? His voice probably cracked a lot more than mine did just now, but I'm trying to be quiet and not wake up other people in this house, you know? Anyway, thanks for tuning in. It's been fun as usual. And we're going to leave you tonight with a song from a Super Nintendo game. We're celebrating the Super Nintendo tonight on Oops, All Video Game Music. What a great system to rent video games for. And this is a game I rented. It's I think it's a Square game. It's like Rad Racer, but a little bit different. I think it's kind of a sequel to Secret of Mana, which I didn't play. Bertha's Gonna Go is filling up with balloons. Anyway, it's called The Secret of Evermore. I did rent it. It's one of those games that I rented and realized, oh, I can't rent this and beat it in one weekend. And it was part of that process that video games went through where they got a little bit more complex. You couldn't just beat the game in one night, you know. That's probably a good thing, right? I remember liking the game. I got to a certain point. I don't know how far I got into the game, but I remember liking it. And let's hear a song from it to close out the show. Love you a lot. And hey, don't forget to power up.
Whoa.